This is a response video to the Modern Mystic. He asked me some questions about free will. So let's start out. He starts out by attributing a certain position with regards to free will to me. Check it out.
My interpretation, but what I think is implied by people that use it, and that's you. So we have free of the cause and effect chain, will, which means it can affect the cause and effect chain. In effect, it is an unmoved mover.
So, Modern Mystic, at the beginning of my free will video series, I spent a lot of time talking about exactly what concept I'm talking about. I define in very careful terms what I mean when I say free will, okay? And what you apparently mean when you say free will, the position that you've attributed to me here, is not really what I meant when I said free will, okay? You seem to think that I think that our choices are made in complete absence of any influence whatsoever about the past history of the universe, and that's clearly, explicitly what I haven't said. Okay, you mentioned several times that you've watched my videos on free will here, but I really think you missed a key thing there. I think that our actions are caused by reasons. I think they are non-deterministically caused by reasons. I think that the relation between cause and effect is a normative relation, but I don't think that our actions are uncaused, completely uncaused.
The great feeling of disappointment in me after watching your videos is you don't explain this. You don't explain how what this agent could be that is free from all past and present, that can affect the future. It can then go out into the free will chain and affect it. It can cause something.
So it's a little bit frustrating here. You seem to be disappointed that you're not finding a defense of the concept of free will, which I don't espouse in my videos. I mean, of course you're not going to find a defense of that, because I don't believe that. At any rate, let's see what comes next down the pike here.
And for this reason, I'm going to ask you a very crude question, and I'm sorry for it, but I've had trouble with this in the past. Do you believe in God, Randy? Because I would think, from my crude cause and effect sort of rational thinking, that if you have a belief that you have free will, it could have come from a religious cause.
Dude, you know, I'm not offended by your question, I guess, but I would point out to you, it does reveal a certain amount of prejudice that you have towards religious people. Like, for example, let me rephrase it let's talk about a subset of religious people, right? What if I said something like, I've had a lot of trouble with Catholics before, so we got to get this out of the way before we discuss this. Are you Catholic? Or if you say, I've had a lot of problem with Jews before, so we got to get this out of the way. Are you Jewish? I mean, dude, George Bush is no longer the president. Okay, this sort of, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists kind of thinking it's really anachronistic. Okay, to satisfy your idle curiosity, I am an atheist.
Have a go at determinism. I don't want you to show how randomness can appear. That is not a positive explanation of how free will can. I only want positive explanations of what this free will might be. I don't want any attacks on what determinism is, what it might be, how mathematics can show that everything isn't determined, how some things can be spontaneous. I don't want any of that. I just want the positive reasoning behind your belief that there is something in you that is an unmoved mover, that can act at a particular moment in time, unaffected by all past and present causes and effects, can make a decision in the real world, in other words, affecting the cause and effect chain that we say that we see. How can this be? Explain the unmoved mover. That's it. Please just...
Okay, again, you will look in vain for any sort of defense in my stuff that we act completely in isolation of everything in the past that's ever happened to us. All right, that's not what I mean. Like I said, I spent a lot of time specifying exactly what I meant by free will. Okay, the concept that I'm prepared to defend. Okay. So that being said, I am sympathetic with your request to a degree here. Okay, anybody who wants to defend a libertarian concept of free will has what Robert Kane called the uphill battle and the downhill battle. I like to call it the frying pan and the fire battle. Okay, so first you got to get out of the frying pan. All right, the frying pan is this concept that the world is deterministic. All right, you got to get out of that frying pan. You got to somehow make it plausible that the world could be non-deterministic to make some physical space for this. It looks like I've succeeded in convincing you of that, right? But then once you get out of the frying pan, you're now in the fire. Okay, the fire is even worse position to be in, right? So you've got to show that randomness in the brain is not merely randomness in the brain, or indeterminacy of action is not just merely purposelessness of action, right? So, but again, it's like you claim to watch my videos, but I think you missed the last three in the series. That's exactly what the last three in the series were about. The first of those three is called Random Neuron, Reply to Everett. Everett had a very similar question to the question you've just asked, so I made an entire video about that. Okay, in that video I talk about how this sort of non-deterministic neuron that I've espoused could be used in order to give you actions which are purposeful actions, actions which are happening for reasons, and yet is acting in a non-deterministic fashion, in accordance with the definition of free will, as I've defined free will. And then, it's like the last two videos called Dionysian Rationality, Part 1 and 2. I explain in great lengths how not only is this sort of non-determinism, is it compatible with rationality? Is it compatible with acting for reasons and satisfying your desires? But it actually could give a positive advantage in a very concrete and meaningful situation. So I guess if you'd like to continue the discussion, I'd ask that you rewatch those videos and try to rewatch those videos with your question in mind and see if they don't really answer your question. That's all, I guess.